Hello and welcome to a new podcast, Discovering Depression Help Club, where our sole purpose is to be a safe haven for those who are depressed and need help, so we can help each other on the journey to recovery. There are many types of depression, and if you search on the internet how does depression feel like, I have noticed that the person writing it obviously hasn't felt how it feels. That is why I don't believe that the best way to recover is by reading on the internet how to recover from this awful disease, but I believe that the best way to recover is to stand together and tell each other how we are coping and have recovered. Now, I was thinking I'd start with a personal experience. I've been depressed for quite a while now. I don't exactly remember how long. I used to be bullied in school for being different. People calling me crazy, and all it was I was a bit more emotional than a lot of other people. The other kids used to find joy in making me so sad that I burst into tears. This made me build a sort of virtual wall that limited how much I talked about my emotions. I certainly would still show them, I just wouldn't tell people why I showed them. This reminds me of a story of what happened to me a couple of years ago. Now, it's important to remember that this was in my second school. I went to 2 schools, so here's what happened. One day, in the school playground, a bunch of kids decided to have a paper plane competition, so I joined, and I made my plane. A kid from my previous school took one look at my plane and laughed. "That's gonna come last," he said. Then my turn came up, and I beat everyone. That same kid then came to me later with another kid and told me that I must have stolen his plane. And he snatched it out of my hands. And then he told the kid next to him that I went to the same school as him, and he told the kid that I never did fit in. And then he turned to me and said, "You'll never fit in anywhere." And then he tore up my plane. And then he told me that I'll never do anything worth doing in my life, and no one will know I exist. I burst into tears because this was truly hurting me. What made it worse was that in the back of my mind I thought he might be right, and I believed him. I couldn't stop crying, and a teacher came over and asked why I was crying. I tried to explain what had happened, but I couldn't get the words out. The kid then just said he was crying because I accidentally ripped his plane. The teacher turned to me and asked if this was true. I said no, and once again tried to explain what happened, but all that I managed to say was he did it deliberately. I know that didn't help me in any way, but it's all I could say. The teacher told me that it wasn't normal to cry over a paper plane, and she let the kid go. She told me she needed to talk to my parents. Later on, I believe in the same week, the school sent me to a doctor because they didn't think I was normal, and this truly hurt me, and it still upsets me to this day. And one of the worst things of it is that this kid probably doesn't even remember what he did. Now, I know that someone saying that no one liked me and no one will ever remember me might not upset other people, but to others, like me, it can be soul-crushing. What a load of people don't understand is that words affect different people in different ways. The same goes with depression. Some people want to commit suicide, and some people, like myself, are depressed because of the concept of death. People with depression aren't going to be able to live normal lives. A load of us will never recover. We will always be sad, or we just won't be normal. We won't have normal lives. But what we've got to do to recover or try to improve on ourselves is decide whether that is a curse or a blessing. We can do anything with our lives that we want. We shall try to recover. We will do things that please us. I have found joy in art, in playing a musical instrument. I've taken up so many things. I have a beautiful dog, Roxy, who we got about 2 years ago, and when we first got her, she was horrified of everyone. She was so scared and everything. I bet she was depressed, but after a while she started coming towards us, enabling us to stroke her, talk to her, pet her, and she started really loving us. She's my dog personally. She comes towards me whenever I call her name. She may well have been depressed when we first got her, but I'm sure that now she's happy. She's content. That's what we need to do. We, as a group, need to find our way back to normal. Some other people have talked on this subject and they sent me this, so I'm going to read it to you. Brooknut has said, people who don't understand depression may not have the skills and compassion to listen. Most of us can relate. Your issues are the most important ones to you. So deferring to what you perceive as more serious situation is doing yourself a great deceive. Speak up. Your situation is no less serious or valid than anyone else's. Much Entertainment 6 says, I didn't know I was depressed until I saw screenshots of a post on some social media site of someone giving a list of stuff they wanted to do, then saying proceeds to not do thing. And the response on the post simply stated the depression. I think the main thing for someone suffering depression is just have someone there, anyone, as long as they show they care. When I get really down, all I want is a hug, to be honest. That's all. No words required. No way am I asking for one, though. Wanderer 2730 says, I've been suffering from depression since the last 4 years. At first, I didn't exactly know that it was depression, but later on, I came to understand that I've been suffering from depression. The worst thing is that I have no one to talk to about this with. Not even my parents. That made me feel even more suffocated and hurt. It felt as if my life was slowly crumbling to pieces as I stood by helplessly. I suffered from anxiety attacks and I didn't see a point of continuing to live. Doing things just seemed like chores. Fortunately enough, last year I became friends with some good-hearted people in my class, and I have to say, they helped me a lot, and I mean a lot. I regained my confidence and slowly but surely came to have a positive outlook on life. Surely, I tripped here and there and hit some low points, but there were, and still are, there for me, to pick me up. If I weren't for them, I don't know where I would be right now. Slowly I recovered throughout the months. It was extremely tough, but now I am almost out of it. I feel like I can finally step out of depression and have a normal and much happier life. So that is the end of today's podcast. Talking about your problems can be a cathartic experience to both the teller and the listener. So if you have any experiences you want to talk about, whether it's asking for help or to give help, please speak up. And if you have any stories you'd like to share with the community, please send it to me at discoveringdepressionhelpclub@gmail.com. I hope it helps you on your journey to recovery. Thank you very much for listening, and we'll talk more next time.